With the long-running success of the Friday the 13th horror franchise, it was only a matter of time before the poster boy of the slasher subgenre made his debut on a modern video game platform. Hi, I'm Brendan with the Leaderboard, and today we're going to sneak our way through the harrowing world of 7 facts about Friday the 13th, the game. Along the way, we'll discover what awoke this series and its antagonists from their deep slumber, and maybe we'll also find out whether they'll continue their terror-inducing rampage for years to come. Without further ado, let's tiptoe right to it. Number 1. Development. So what did it take to resurrect this nightmarish franchise into the world of video games? No, the developers did not use the Necronomicon, but good guess! Turns out the game, or rather a game, was already in the works when Sean S. Cunningham, creator of Friday the 13th, personally reached out to indie game developers Elphick and Gunn Media. The game that Elphick and Gunn were working on prior to their meeting with Cunningham was called Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp. A trailer for the game was released in late 2014, several months before they were approached by Cunningham. Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp was set in Camp Forest Green and was centered around a group of negligent camp counselors who had to try and survive their encounter with something sinister. It was a vague concept, but it gave just enough information to garner interest, especially towards the end of the trailer when the narrator announced that their sleeping bags would become their body bags. If any of that sounded familiar, that's because it was supposed to. Turns out Elphick and Gunn were basing their game completely around the Friday the 13th franchise. They were transparent about their love of the series, which earned them the interest of thousands of horror fans as well as Cunningham himself. Slasher Volume 1 Summer Camp was just the working title for the horror game before Elphick and Gunn were able to meet with Cunningham and negotiate for the Friday the 13th video game license. Brave move starting the development of a game before securing the license for it. Just crazy enough to work. After several meetings in which the indie duo and Cunningham discussed their mutual respect for each other, as well as their love of entertainment portraying fictional psychotic killers preying on promiscuous teens in the middle of the woods, Cunningham surprised his new friends with the Friday the 13th video game license. After that, it was full steam ahead for Elphick and Gunn. With the license in their possession, they moved on to ramp up the quality and quantity of content in their game. But to do that, they needed more money. A lot more money. That's where the fans pulled through. Number 2, a resurrected franchise. Once they acquired the license, producer and executive director Randy Greenback set up a Kickstarter and backer kit campaign in order to raise money for the game's development. News spread rapidly and fans rushed to the aid of the developers, hoping to see their favorite slasher series make its debut in video games. Fans were further motivated by the rewards featured on Kickstarter. The rewards accumulated with each successive tier, from $5 wallpaper rewards to $99 rewards that gave players a backer exclusive skin, and up to $10,000 rewards that allowed 4 very generous fans to actually appear in the game. The developers later sweetened the deal by offering more incentives in the form of stretch goals with even more rewards. The initial goal of $700,000 earned the fans not just the game, but a documentary-style interview with Tom Savini, the makeup and special effects artist of several of the franchise's films. The interview followed Savini as he created an all-new Jason exclusive to Friday the 13th, the game. The higher stretch goals rewarded players with the ability to use new executions in-game when they played as Jason, all of which reference classic scenes from the films. There's the mirror smash, the head crush, and the rip your heart out, which is exactly what it sounds like. With all the great rewards up for grabs, backers flocked to the campaign and were able to fund it easily. The Kickstarter's goal was $700,000. The fans were able to raise $823,704, over $120,000 more than what they needed on the Kickstarter alone. Put together with all the funds from backer kit, the fans were able to raise almost $1.4 million. Consider this franchise resurrected. Number 3, Virtual Cabin. While Friday the 13th, the game was still in development, Elphick and Gunn released one of their stretch goal rewards in the form of the Virtual Cabin. In an effort to be transparent and also as a way to tease the fans, the developers created this interactive development diary which allowed players to travel first-person mode through a creepy cabin with multiple rooms. Each room of the cabin was themed specifically to showcase some of the features that the games would have, and the developers continued to add more features as they got closer to completion. In the Virtual Cabin, you can see the 3D models of the counselors and several of Jason's skins, and even find items and scenes straight from the films. To add a bit of fun to the virtual tour, the devs made the experience into a treasure hunt minigame, the prize being a secret ending. To unlock the secret ending, you had to find 10 specific items in the cabin. Once you find the items, you had to stare at them, like, yeah, give them a good peepin'. Eventually, an eerily familiar sound clip should play, followed by the sound of chalk on a board echoing from the hallway. These are the items you're looking for. The frying pan on top of the stove in the kitchen, the blood-splattered white t-shirt on the floor in the living room, the rotary dial telephone in the living room, the graffiti at the end of the log in the counselor room, the misplaced wiper on the same room, the handy life preserver on the canoe by the bra, the graffiti on the side of the desk in the item room, the blue book titled Jarvis Family History leaning against the cardboard box in the same room, the tombstone to Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, in the conservatory, and finally, the bloodstained mattress in Jason's room. Whew! Did you guys get that? If you ever want to check your progress, all you gotta do is take a gander at the chalkboard in the hallway. Every time you find an item, one of the images on it will be crossed out. Once you're all finished, interact with the chalkboard by pressing E. A creepy laugh will echo throughout the cabin, all the doors will slam shut, and a secret room will open. Go back to Jason's room and you'll find a new area to explore. Not much to see here though, besides Mrs. Voorhees' decapitated head and a machete. Oh, and a cutscene! Oh hey, Jason, surprise! Love what you've done with the place, can't wait to play. Number 4. Film references. Because the game is based off a much beloved horror franchise, you know there are bound to be tons of references and Easter eggs hidden throughout Camp Crystal Lake. But instead of listing every single one, because listing the virtual cabin references would take literally forever, here are some of the ones that you can actually interact with in-game. The first reference comes in bulk. When playing as Jason, a player has the option to choose between various unlockable skins, all but one of which have appeared in the films. They go all the way to part 9, and each skin has its own stats, abilities, and weapons based on how Jason was portrayed in their respective films. That is some scary attention to detail. The second one is more mechanically focused. If you're familiar with the franchise, then you may have some serious deja vu when playing either Jason or the counselors. Many of the supernatural powers that Jason has in his arsenal, as well as the survival tactics employed by the counselors, come straight from the movies. Jason can teleport around the map, allowing the player to appear where and when their prey is least likely to expect them to, like a jump scare. Every single one of Jason's kill animations reference classic scenes from the films. He can ambush you and drown you in the lake, he can take a swing at you with his weapons, or in our personal favorite, punch your head off. Oh, and he can set up bear traps. Watch your feet. I'm talking to you, Richie. Why are you always the one? Why can't you just look down when you walk? The counselors can also use bear traps, but they aren't camouflaged like Jason's. In order for them to survive, they'll have to use methods similar to the ones that the counselors tried in the films, and hopefully with better success. They can refuel the car and escape that way, but the driving is really difficult in first-person mode, and you can still be killed. Just make sure you refuel it before trying to take off. You can also just hide and survive until time runs out. Each match has a hidden 20-minute timer, but there's another more proactive way to win. This method involves using Pamela's sweater, a machete, and activating a cameo appearance from another character in the films. More on this method later. Time for atmospheric stuff. The musical score signature to the films is used in the game and to really good effect. Counselors can actually figure out when Jason has gained a new power to hunt them with, and also how close he is to finding them based on what song is playing and how dramatic the music gets. When you hear that score ramp up, you better start running. The developers also did a great job of faithfully integrating the look of Friday the 13th into the game. They kept true to Sean Cunningham and his film crew's decision to use primary colors in order to distinguish points of interest from their dark settings. The most obvious reference to this is in the game title menu, which presents the player with an ominous bright red door. Another example is the use of colorful clothing, notably the yellow rain jackets. These are classic visual references from a time where special effects and lighting weren't nearly as accessible, and the director's imagination either made or broke a movie. In this case, the movie, as well as the distinctive style, were made. Number 5. Roles reprised. As a true nod to the fans, Friday the 13th crew members Tom Savini and Kane Hodder came back to the franchise and contributed their talents to the game. Tom Savini, who worked on special effects and makeup for some of the films, actually designed one of Jason's skins, the only skin that is original to the game. The skin is called Savini Jason, and is Savini's gorgeously twisted interpretation of how Jason would look if he never escaped hell after the 9th film in the franchise, Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. This skin was originally a backer reward giving out to those who donated during the Kickstarter campaign, but due to popular demand, it was made available to anyone wanting to raise hell as the new Jason for a meager $6 on the Backer Kit store. After the campaign was fully completed, however, Savini Jason was locked away once again. There's currently no way to get the skin, so it's a rare and terrifying sight each time you see it in game. Tom Savini isn't the only Friday the 13th crew member to come back to the franchise. Kane Hodder, known for his frightening portrayal of Jason in several of the films, reprised his role through the use of motion capture. You can actually recognize him in the way that Jason moves, that slight hunch, the brutal yet nonchalant killing animations, and that downright menacing walk cycle. Number 6, the slasher becomes the slashed. While the main objective of the counselors is to either escape the campgrounds or survive until time runs out, there's a third option that takes considerably more effort to pull off, but is also much more satisfying. That is to kill Jason. Unlike the other goals where the counselors can play everyone for themselves, this objective requires a considerable amount of teamwork between at least 2 of the counselors. Alright, first things first, the counselors have to retrieve the sweater of Jason's deceased mother, Pamela, from his cabin. This is trickier than it sounds because Jason's cabin can spawn in one of several locations, and once you enter the cabin, the Jason player is alerted that you're trespassing in his crib. If you manage to sneak away with the sweater though, the next step is to summon a new playable character, Tommy Jarvis, into the fray. Look for a CB radio, which can be found in a building with a red and white telecom tower next to it. You can use the radio to call Tommy, but before doing so, make sure that at least one of the 7 counselors have either died or escaped so that they can take control of Tommy. Tommy has higher stats than the other counselors, and he comes armed with a gun. Unfortunately, you'll have to drop the gun in favor of a machete. Ironically, Jason's favorite weapon is the one thing that can permanently kill him. Now that you have the sweater and Tommy Jarvis on your side, the next step is to confront Jason. But before that, make sure that a female counselor has equipped the sweater. Yes, they have to be female, and you'll understand why in a moment. Once the counselors and Jason have come face to face, the counselors need to confront their worst nightmare and attack him. The aim being to knock Jason's mask off. The best way to do is to just aim high. Machetes work best, but any weapon will really do. Once Jason's mask is off, have the female counselor with the sweater on equip either an axe or a baseball bat. Then the female counselor has to activate the sweater like an item. You press Q. She'll begin imitating Jason's mother. Jason will get stunned, and now it's time to take revenge. Have the female counselor knock Jason onto his knees by bashing him with one of the 2 aforementioned weapons. Then have Tommy Jarvis come in for the kill with his machete. A special kill animation should play, this time with Jason as the victim. Sweet, sweet justice. Number 7. Frighteningly fun or frustrating? Despite being delayed by several months, the game came out to initially positive reviews, but recent reception has been mixed. It's currently scored 68% on Metacritic, 75% on PC Gamer, and a 6.9 out of 10 on IGN. Other than the connection issues on launch, which booted players from the game or just flat out wouldn't let them connect, and a few annoying bugs, the biggest point of contention seems to be the difficulty of the game when playing as one of the counselors against Jason. Many players were put off by how clearly overpowered Jason was, with a few of his abilities allowing him to fast travel around the map and spot players through walls. His grab ability and some of his special killing animations also make encounters with Jason nearly hopeless in some situations. Other players, however, have argued that Jason's overwhelming powers and his adrenaline-pumping presence made the game a lot more intense and therefore enjoyable. It's a horror game after all, so shouldn't being scared add a lot of the fun to the chase? Despite the controversy around this design decision, it's clear that the developers intended for the game to play this way. As fans of the franchise, Elphick and Gunn worked hard to stay true to the source material and allow players to feel the same senses of fear and suspense that the films instilled in their audience. When playing as or against Jason, he really feels like a monstrous force to be reckoned with. Isn't that the whole point of his character? And although having a Jason player who plays competitively could ruin the fun of the chase for some, on the flip side, having a casual Jason player who plays with the psyche of his prey rather than outright killing them could offer a whole other level of fun for both sides. Some Jason players have taken to playing mind games with their victims, letting some of them live whilst going after others, and even recruiting counselors to turn on each other using the area chat. Last camper standing gets to live! Other playful Jasons just like to spook counselors through voice chat, using voice changers to sound like a real monster. Oh my god! So what do you think? Does the fact that the game can't be played competitively detract from its enjoyability and perhaps from its overall potential content? Or does Jason being monstrously strong make sense given the source material? Maybe it even adds a whole new level of fun to the game. We here at Frederator consider this an interesting debate in the philosophy of game design, so please let us know how you feel in the comments and why. Once again, I'm Brendan with the Leaderboard, and thanks for watching 7 Facts About Friday the 13th, the game. We have new videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, so let us know what game you want us to cover next. Don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of the notification squad, and if you like getting more from your games, subscribe to the Leaderboard, where we help you game smarter.